I remember it like yesterday when Matt came down the stairs and said so casually with a smile, I booked a one-way ticket to Santiago, Chile. I thought to myself, is this real? Can we really leave our amazing careers, friends, and family? Fast forward 10 months later, after all the hard conversations, endless checklists, and heartfelt goodbyes, we were heading to the airport with one backpack each, about to set out for a multi-year adventure around the world. Filled with excitement, we had no idea what to expect, but we knew it would be a fun ride. Join us as we share what we are learning on our journey of a lifetime. This is Passport Joy Travel Talk with Nikki and Matt Javit.
Thanks for listening. I hope your day is going well. Today we're covering accommodation tips to save money and how we have run into a few wild situations with crying babies, cold showers, and a very interesting guinea pig story that you might like. We also talk about WorkAways, hostels, and hotels. Then we'll answer a couple of questions from our followers, how we stay in touch with our friends and family at home, and then how we're also coping with homesickness from time to time. Thanks again for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe on the podcast tool that you use, iTunes, Stitcher. We use Overcast, and we love it. When you subscribe, you will automatically receive each episode when it's published and goes straight to your device. When you feel comfortable, please rate and review us as well. Please be sure to listen to the entire episode because at the end, we're going to be discussing our contest where we're giving away awesome prizes of the tools that we use. And then you'll hear the details of that contest and what you can do to enter. Okay, on to the episode. Enjoy. All right, let's talk about accommodations. Everybody always asks us, how do you stay in all these places you go to? How do you pick them? Where do you decide on the areas you're going to stay in and whatnot? So we're going to do a brief overview of all the different ways that we have decided to stay and some of our favorites to hopefully help you in your process as well. So the first one, and I think everybody knows that we love Airbnb. We just love the concept of it, the idea that you can pick the place you're going to stay at quickly and read the reviews if there's reviews so you can get a sense of what the place looks like, look at the photos, and it's typically much, much cheaper than you would have to pay if you stayed in a hotel in the area. So we are big fans of that, and if possible, you can always get even bigger discounts than what's listed with weekly and monthly discounts, depending upon how long we hope to stay somewhere. So we use it like crazy, and we attempt to book out as far as we can, probably 2 months, 1 to 2 months, but then we can also stay flexible depending upon the cancellation process. The change process is real easy, but the cancellation, sometimes you have to really weigh it to see if it makes sense as we change our plans. Because we do like to do some last minute things every once in a while and change our plans or get new ideas to go somewhere. So you want to take that into account as well. So Airbnbs, though they've been amazing. I mean, we've had some awesome stays with unbelievable views and dirt cheap pricing. But sometimes even in the places that you love, you'll have odd situations where there'll be a baby crying or dogs barking, or you are next to huge amounts of construction. So it makes it difficult to sleep. Nikki's been a champ with a lot of the cold showers we've taken along the road. I don't mind cold showers every once in a while, but when you're taking a cold shower for a week at a time, it is not fun. And then just showers in general. There's these wild electrical showers, specifically in South America. We saw these a ton where there's like an electrical box on the shower head that's connected to it to make the water hot. So that process, when you have all the cords and everything sticking out of the wall, is pretty intimidating and scary. And when you get shocked, a few times like we did in Peru, it's just something you're not used to when you're getting shocked during the shower, and it freaks you out a lot. And you're not sure if that was just the normal shock or is there a big one behind.
Speaking of Peru, we had an Airbnb situation where the place itself was amazing, but it was kind of conjoined to their home. So it was kind of like a self-serving flatlet that we were in. But we were there for 10 days, and the wall that separated our flatlet, on the other side of it, they had like pet guinea pigs. And our family, me growing up, my youngest sister, Emily, she had 2 pet guinea pigs. one's name was Coco and one's name was Danny. And these were like near and dear to her heart. And, that's in America, guinea pigs are pets. But in Peru, they eat guinea pigs. It's not uncommon to be driving alongside the street and see a girl or a guy having like a guinea pig with a skewer through its body, and it's charred and it has like a tomato stuffed in its mouth. So for me, it was like a really traumatic experience to see that. But back to the Airbnb. So in our kitchen, this wall that separated our flatlet from their main house, you could hear these cute little guinea pigs making their little guinea pig sound. And so I guess like after, 5-6 days of this, it just really got to me because intermittently you could hear like a guinea pig being taken out of its cage. And I just thought to myself, it was being snatched up for food. And there's no way that they had these guinea pigs in these cages for pets. Just knowing that in Peru, they ate these guinea pigs. So that was an Airbnb experience that I definitely will not forget. And I shed a few tears over that.
And I had a good time with that because I felt bad, but I thought it was pretty funny too, the way Nikki reacted to it. But so that was crazy. And then cleaning situations around the world. We did post a video from a deal. We used our Blink monitor to catch one of the cleaning crew in our place in one of our Vietnam stays, where we already told the owner that nobody should enter our room. So that's another reason that we liked the camera, because we knew when somebody was there and she wasn't supposed to be there. And then she ended up cleaning the floors with the same tool that she was cleaning the bathroom. And then she cleaned the kitchen floor and then the kitchen counter with it. So that wasn't the best. But sometimes you got to weigh it all out, right? Because there was a recent report that came out of, I think it was China, that had one of the best hotels or hotel chains in China had very suspect cleaning, toilet water to clean and crazy stuff going on in those. So you never know anyway. The top of the line chains can be doing things that we're not aware of. And sometimes you just want to clean it up yourself when you get there as well. But we love Airbnbs. We've had a lot of luck with everything we've done. But with that luck, you just do a lot of research and you understand which ones are the best to pick. I love to look at the reviews of the owners of the properties, because usually now, especially now, because it's booming so much, these property owners have more than one location. So if you find somebody that is really good at what they do, they might have one that is listed out of your price range, but then you find that they also have one that is in your price range. So we've done that. And we actually found, using that type of method in Lisbon, Portugal, we had a hell of a deal where I found a listing for a property in the best area in June for the festivals there in Bica, for the neighborhoods there. It's an amazing time there. So essentially the whole month of June they party, and the streets are filled with people with food and alcohol and dancing, and it's basically makeshift neighborhood parties that the whole city and people travel in to take a part of with the different festivals. And we met a ton of friends and we made new friends, and it's a place that I will definitely go back to in June in the future. But we had no idea. So when we landed in Lisbon, we stayed in one Airbnb that was kind of outside of the action a little bit. It was probably about a good 12 to 15 minute walk into where the action of the city was. And then, but once we were there for 2 days, we knew where we wanted to stay, because at that point we had decided that we were going to stay in Lisbon longer because we loved it so much. So I knew the neighborhood that I wanted to stay in. So I went back to the Airbnb and I researched it. And sure enough, there was essentially nothing available except for one property that hit the radar that was in our price range. And that property had no reviews on it. So I said, well, what's going on with this? So I clicked on, did some searching, and it really had a couple of really bad photos, no reviews, and basically no description. But the fact that we were in town and I could meet the owner made me pursue it further. So I looked at the owner's profile, and he had a ton of reviews on other properties. So at that point, I knew that he was a good property owner, knew what he was doing. So I contacted him through the website and just said, hey man, I'm already in town. Can we walk through this place? Because I'm 6'5", 6'6", 2 meters in their language, and I want to check it out to see if I fit the bed, because I always use fit the bed as a cop out to why it might not fit for me. And so he walked us through the place, and what happened was he had just bought it and flipped it. It was a new property for him, so it wasn't listed yet. So he was willing to make a deal to get us in there even cheaper. It was already in our budget, but he was willing to make it even cheaper for us to get in there. So that was a hell of a deal. And we'll put the link in the show notes for the Lisbon Hustle, but it just shows you a little bit about the time that we had in Lisbon. That was an amazing time. So we love Airbnbs and definitely are A1 choice when we're looking at a way to travel. But we also use another one that people have a ton of interest in, especially at our age range. I'm in my early 40s, Nikki's in her mid 30s, and we do WorkAways. A lot of people think this is just for the younger audience, but WorkAways are an amazing way for you to save money and meet people. I'll let Nikki tell you about it.
Yeah, so for those of you unfamiliar with WorkAway, it's an international online company. And what they do is it's set up to promote like a fair exchange between travelers who are willing to work as volunteers and hosts that want help like for their businesses or their projects or activities. And so the workawayers or the volunteers are expected to work a pre-agreed upon amount of time, like per day or per week. And you arrange it through the WorkAways website. And you can do that via email, essentially. Sometimes they will prefer that you do it through WhatsApp, but you definitely should do it through the website. And then you can do that exchange for housing and other perks. Sometimes they'll give you like breakfast, internet, free internet, Wi-Fi. Sometimes they'll provide transportation to and from the airport if you're flying in, or sometimes they'll say, we're located far from the grocery store, so we'd be more than happy to take you to the grocery store. But yeah, and so as a traveler using WorkAway, it's just a great way to not only acquire free housing, but it's super ideal way for us to learn about a foreign country and to learn a foreign language, meet new people, and just immerse yourself completely in a foreign culture. But yeah, for us, it's definitely about meeting people, and you get free housing just for exchanging your services. And your services, you can choose that. They have a menu that you can open up and choose what you want to do. So it can be for eco-friendly projects. It can be for taking care of farm animals. It can be for working on a farm and doing projects like that. It can be for gardening, babysitting, tutoring children, working in a hostel. And typically the ones for hostels, the ones that we have done those so far, they do require that you get dirty, so to speak. And that would be like cleaning and, changing beds, checking in guests, and whatever else, that business may require at that time. But like, again, you don't have to sign up for something like that. There's a plethora of things that you can do. You can work at surf shops, drive people to and from as long as you have your international driver's license, set up activities for their tourists and for their guests. I recently saw one on there where they're looking for people that know how to cook with cooking experience. Not that you have to be a professional chef by any stretch of the imagination, but like you could come and work for a hostel and cook for their guests. So breakfast, lunches, and dinners, snacks, so things like that. But it's really cool because there's just great volunteer opportunities on there that if you fit any one of those criteria, then you can help out in any way. And then I've also seen on the website, which is cool, where they'll say, tell me what services you offer, like what can you do? And then we're willing to negotiate. And then they'd give some examples like, do you play guitar? Do you teach yoga classes? So they're willing to work with you. So if you can provide anything for that company that would fit in their type of setting, they're more than willing to give you a free space to lay your head. So yeah, we've done to date now 3 of them, and we're about to do another one. So yeah, it's a great way to meet people, and we've met some really cool people doing it.
Probably friends that we'll keep forever that we've met along the road. And I had a chance to meet at a WorkAway in Ecuador, one of the stars from the hit TV show Narcos. So that was a big deal for me. And the guy was super cool because he was actually staying in the bed and breakfast we were working at. And we ended up sharing drinks, and I had a chance to quiz him on some of the things within his TV lifestyle. And it was pretty awesome. So that was a lot of fun. And then it's great. We love WorkAway and hope to do more of those in the future. And the cool thing about WorkAway, like a lot of things like Airbnb with the reviews and really all these social media type things, that once you build reviews and build a background and leverage, because we leverage like our professional profiles on LinkedIn and things like that to help us get gigs within WorkAway, is the idea that once you create a trustworthy profile, then that goes a long way as you try to attempt to get this free housing and food in some of these locations. So something to think about. I mean, that's the good thing, but if things don't go so well, then that follows you as well. So be aware of that. Hostels is another thing that where we've stayed on the road. And hostels, I definitely was in a category of ignorant when it came to hostels. So again, my traveling in my early 20s was mostly around when I played college basketball and stuff. So I didn't really travel abroad until I was in my 30s. And at that point, you think that you're not beyond hostels, but that you're too old for hostels. That's a lot of things that's what I thought. And as we talk to other travelers on the road, when we have these conversations or talk to the people back home, they think that hostels are for 18 to 22-year-old backpacking across Europe or whatever. But that's not the case. We found many beautiful, great hostels as we travel where you can get private bedrooms, private bathrooms, extremely clean. It's essentially just in some countries, it's a different word for hotel really, and they use hostels. So we've used hostels a bunch. And then what we have used some pseudo seedy type of situations as well, where it wasn't necessarily last minute, but it kind of was. And so we got put into some situations where you get extremely, I guess, dirty. I'm trying to sugarcoat it, but you get dirty, nasty situations where you're in the room with multiple people and they might not be as clean as you are. And then you're all sharing the same bathroom. You just got to check it. And hopefully if you do use it, it's for a night or two. If you get in those situations, hopefully it's just for one night and then you go find a new place to stay. But we've been in situations where we're like, let's just go to put the headphones in, lock the shit up, and let's just be safe. And let's get out of here as soon as we can. Skip the free breakfast in the morning and let's bounce because they can be pretty dirty.
Yeah, so hostels for me, I don't prefer them, but it's just because I like to have my own bathroom and probably because I'm more of a germ phobe than Matt is. But the thing with hostels, like Matt said, is that there are some hostels that are just as nice as hotels. And it just depends on where you go. And I mean, as long as you're not in like a last minute type situation, you can really shop around and find hostels that are very nice. We've stayed at very, very nice hostels that I would not otherwise know a hostel. And you do save a lot of money. Situations that he's referring to being dirty, number one thing would be a bathroom. When you have high turnover like that, or a lot of people living in an accommodation and they're sharing a restroom or two restrooms and there's 30 people that are in one living space, I mean, you can imagine the things that are going to happen. I mean, there's just, wet bathroom floors. There's, people's toiletries all up in the shower that shouldn't be, razors everywhere, things like that, hairs. I mean, it's not going to be cleaned all the time, and nor should it be if you really think about it. I mean, are they going to have a maid that goes in after every single person that takes a shower and then cleans it again? I mean, it's like a revolving door, the shower. I mean, people are constantly taking showers all day long. So in actuality, when you think about it, griping about a dirty bathroom is kind of mundane. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, you have 30 people living in under one roof and they're taking a shower in one bathroom. I mean, it's going to be wet. It's going to have hair in the shower, etc. But there are things that, can be improved upon. I mean, we're all adults here. And when you're using a communal kitchen and you are using dishes and you just throw your dirty dishes in the sink and you don't wash them, I mean, it's like common sense. Like you should probably be washing your dirty dishes and not let them pile up. Or if you have a shared refrigerator and the food is in the refrigerator and it's rotting or it's smelling, or you have open containers of food, or, your things have spilt in the refrigerator and people like legit will not wipe them down, like a juice spills and then they just leave the juice in the refrigerator with the sticky juice all over everything. I mean, I find that just asinine that people do that, but people do. I mean, it's like your mom's not here to clean up after you, so it's not going to get cleaned up. So things like that just is mind-boggling to me that adults or even people 18 years and older that don't know how to clean up after themselves and they don't. They're just rude. That's the stuff that I can't handle. So those are the things that you won't find in a hotel. You're not going to walk in a hotel room and find in your mini bar spilled juice that the person before you has left. And if you do, you can complain about it. And, they're going to come and someone's going to clean it up for you. So again, we do stay in hostels and we've had very nice hostels. And quite honestly, we've found hostels that are more expensive than hotels. So it just all in where you go, where you stay, what country you're at. It just depends. But you can find nice ones. You can find shady, seedy ones. But we typically, when we stay in hostels, we won't stay for more than 1 or 2 nights. And like a money saving, preference for us when we do like a comparative search to hotels or something like that.
I would just say, make sure you throw it in the arsenal of things you're looking at and just consider it, because we never really considered it until we made the decision to travel full time. And the ones that we've stayed at after doing a lot of research and finding ones that we like, we've loved them. We've loved our stays. It's just really the last minute, oh my goodness, there's only 2 or 3 properties in this town. What should we do? Those have been the ones that we're describing that are not as good. So I think it's just like anything, just do your proper research, look at the reviews. There's all kinds of cool websites. Hostel World's a good one that you can check out and you can see what people say about it. And just keep in mind that depending upon where you are in your travel cycle, if you're in your 20s or 30s, 40s, we've traveled with folks that were 70-year-old. We met a 70-year-old from Japan once. And that's the coolest thing about hostels is the people you'll meet as well. We love it. So, okay, moving on. And then I just want to throw this in there. Booking.com, it was something that we never really used to look up travel accommodations, but we've started to use Booking.com much more because we see that it continues to grow. So especially in Europe, it seems like a lot of listings are on Booking. So watch for that. And then hotels in general, we love the ability to use points from our credit cards to use on hotels. So if you do an Airbnb for a while, especially in a shared situation where we're living in a room with a family, or maybe we're in a hostel for a while, or we're in a situation where we don't have alone time, then we'll mix in a hotel. And we do that by using points. So we'll do that probably once every 8 or 10 weeks or so. We might use a hotel, and those are wonderful because it's just so different. If you haven't used a hotel in a while and you use one, it's like, wow, temperature you can monitor, clean sheets, nice bathrooms. It's just a cool thing to mix in. So we definitely do hotels every once in a while. And then the best is friends and family. No matter what the situation is, this is the best, to be able to stay with your friends or your family, get meals they cook, hang out with them, catch up, talk, enjoy that time together, reminisce. We found that is the best. And I would encourage you, don't be afraid if you're going places. I mean, with Facebook and LinkedIn and everything that's out there now, you can find friends of a friend out there that you can stay with potentially, and they will know any town better than what any guide can tell you. And they will know the ins and outs, and you're going to have a connection point for life if you can stay with somebody. So we love doing that. We love hanging out with people in their town and meeting their friends and just hanging out. So those have been our best days, and without a doubt, just hanging out with the people we love. That is it. That's the wrap up on accommodations. Take it all in consideration. Have fun.
We love using our Blink monitoring system while traveling the world. It's very easy to set up the system before leaving your hotel, your hostel, or your Airbnb where you're staying. We've packed one security camera for our travels. And it's really important for us to know if anyone has been in our room for the obvious reasons, but also so we just don't accuse anyone of stealing, in case we just simply misplace something. So once you leave your room, you arm the device using the Blink mobile app. It's very, very easy. And when someone moves in front of the camera sensors, it activates immediately while a bright light sends a video to your phone. We also love our Blink monitoring system to look into our home, where we have 3 cameras set up, and the app will alert us to any activity that goes on while we're away. So get your Blink monitor today to feel safe while you travel and to monitor your home remotely. It's super easy to set up, it's cost-friendly, battery operated, and the Blink app can be accessed from more than one device, and you can also have up to 10 cameras on each security system, and there is no monthly fee. So check out passportjoy.com/Blink. Again, passportjoy.com/Blink to watch the ease of use and how we set up our Blink security camera system as we travel the world. Another thing we use is called Priority Pass, and we absolutely love our Priority Pass. It's just a great way for frequent travelers to gain access to airport lounges around the world. And our airport experiences have been so much more enjoyable, so we can just spend time, unwind, and relax in a priority lounge right before our flight. And the lounges are quiet, they're connected spaces where you can work or even take a quick nap and get a bite to eat. A lot of these lounges have complimentary food and beverages, alcohol, and Wi-Fi in most of the lounges. There are even lounges that have spas and showers that allow for a quick refresh after long travel days or in between your flights. We've saved a ton of money with Priority Pass by not having to purchase food in the airport before or in between our flights, and it's just a great way to kick back and relax. So join Priority Pass today. It's really affordable, and there are over 1,000 lounges in 500 cities across 130 countries. Check out passportjoy.com/pass. Again, passportjoy.com/pass to find out other membership benefits of Priority Pass. Our other tips and tools we use can be found at passportjoy.com/tools.
All right, questions and answers, Q&A. Again, write into matt@passportjoy.com or any of the socials, and we will add your questions to the queue and get them answered. First question comes from Ryan from Dallas, asked, how do you stay in touch with your family? I know that it's very easy today to communicate, but did you set up one location for all, or do you handle each differently? Some places you have gone might not have the best Wi-Fi. How did you handle that? Okay. Yeah, I guess living today, we are so fortunate, right? Because there's so many different ways of communicating, so many different mobile apps that you can use to talk to the family. We have several that we'll walk through here. But before that, I can remember my mom when I was a kid calling my grandma on the old school rotary phones and them talking for an hour or two. Typically, I think it was like on a Saturday or Sunday, and they would just spend time on the phone. And then my dad he wouldn't be upset because he supported that communication with my grandma, but it would be a huge chunk of the bill. It was so crazy to look back to understand that like those phone calls on those weekends that our families used to make in the 80s, that's dating myself in the 90s, they would be like $10s, $40s, $50 sometimes if you had really long conversation with your family. But now we're so lucky that we can talk across continents for free. It's nuts when you think about it, and it's so super convenient. So, but yeah, before we left, we got the Google Fi program where I got an Android phone. It's actually a Google phone, and they have a phone program where basically they have relationships around the world in, I think it's 135 countries now, where you can essentially, as soon as you land, you're on 3G or 4G, whatever the best service is in that area that Google has worked out a contract with, and you're instantly on the program. So at that point, we have called our family from the cellular data service, and that costs money. It costs every time that we call. So that's not a free service, but that's something that we've used to stay in touch from time to time. And I guess the one that we've used the most is Google Duo for face-to-face. We found Duo later in the game as we were a few months in because it was the clearest that we had reception-wise, and it's the best. If you have not used Google Duo, we'll put that in the show notes. Check that out. But it's a great face-to-face app that goes over Wi-Fi, and I think you can use it for both voice and video, but we've only used it for video, and it's been amazing to see the kiddos, our nieces and nephews through that, and FaceTime with our parents and stuff like that. Just the touch points across seeing faces is always amazing. WhatsApp is huge around the world. That really it's used a ton in Asia, and South America was massive. It's big everywhere. WhatsApp is huge. We've used that a bunch. And then I guess sending and receiving just videos. Like if we take a video clip that we think's interesting, we can send it over to our family so they can see it. But receiving those videos is a huge bonus. Just the fact that our family can shoot us a video of one of our nephews or nieces and check that out. That's been awesome. And then also like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just seeing all that stuff. We also have a Facebook group as well, a group page that we use to communicate our transportation. Essentially, anytime we're going from one place to another place, just our immediate family, we share that there. So I think that's been real advantageous because it's essentially another level of security just so everybody knows where we are at a given time. We're older. We don't necessarily have to do that, but we like to do it just so everybody knows that we're safe when we arrive and that when we are on the move.
Well, I just wanted to point out that I don't have a phone plan. So those apps that Matt had mentioned all work without having a phone plan, which is great. So I don't have to bother Matt and ask him to use his phone. So as long as I have Wi-Fi, whether I'm in a cafe or I'm at a hotel or at my Airbnb, I'm able to I have an iPhone 6 and I just pull up my iPhone, I dial on the Wi-Fi, and I can go on to the Google Duo, or I can go on to Facebook Instant Messenger or any other app, basically WhatsApp, you name it. And I can communicate to my family that way. So I'll have phone calls, whether it be through my phone or through my computer, through those apps, and have full-on phone conversations, whether it be voice or whether it be face-to-face, like a FaceTime with my family and my friends, without even having a phone service, which is nice. So that's really an added bonus that I don't even have an actual phone plan, and I can do that through the Wi-Fi. And Matt had mentioned that we have that Facebook page for our family. It is a private Facebook page, so no one else can access it. It's just our immediate family, like our moms, dads, and siblings, where we set that up before we left. And it's just before we leave anywhere, we say, this is where we're going. Our flights leave at this time. This is when we'll be landing, and this is where we'll be staying. And I really like it because I really feel like people should essentially, since we're traveling at all times, that people, at least one person should know where you're at. And it's a great way that if we haven't talked to people, let's just say for a couple weeks, that someone could be like, this is where they were last at. So it's just another safety feature, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't go 2 weeks without talking to somebody. I think we're always talking to somebody like almost every day or whatever. And then with some of the older generation we speak to, it's mostly over the phone, just using the Hangout phone app, our phone to just do regular calls, because I kept my old phone number and Nikki has her old phone number. And that's basically how we talk to most of our family, our friends as well, is just voice to voice calls and stuff like that. And in a couple of non-traditional ways that we use as well. One is the Nix Play phone frame, which it's an amazing phone frame that we actually purchased for our Nikki's grandmother a little over 2 years ago, where you can put photos into the cloud. And we originally got it so she can see her nieces and nephews in Chicago at her assisted living home in Columbus, Indiana. But it's an easy way for us to put photos into our phone, into the cloud, and then she can see those photos on this frame. It's like a regular frame in her room. And we've recommended it a bunch, and we've had friends actually get it. And it's amazing. It's not cheap, but it's an amazing way for the older generation, if they're not on the social media, on Facebook or whatever, if they don't know how to do that or they just don't do that, it's a great way for them to still see photos of people. And so we use it to show our travel. My grandma is actually Facebook friendly, so she gets to see some of our photos there. So that's cool. And then the other thing is Groove Books. We found that Groove Books, I saw Groove Books on Shark Tank a few years ago. And it's basically 100-page photo album that comes as a book. It's only, I think it's $4 a month that you can get it, but we send those to our family members of monthly photos. So essentially they get 100 photos of the trips and the travels that we've had, and they get to look through those. It's really good for the kids, so the kids can see all the places we've gone and the photos we've taken. But it's also a good keepsake on the places that as we try to share with our siblings and our parents and stuff, it's not always easy to describe. So that's cool as well. So Groove Books is something. I'll put these in the show notes because we love them, and I think they love them as well, because it's not always easy. Because as we were going through, we were thinking about, should we send postcards? What should we do? Just to know that everybody, that we're thinking about them. And we found that Groove Books has been a great way to share that at a low cost, because again, it's, you use their app, you download the photos, and they get printed out once a month. So that's been really cool.
I wanted to touch on my phone number because I said I don't have a phone plan, but then Matt said I kept my phone number. So Google allows you to, when you discontinue your phone plan with your carrier, they allow you to do this really cool thing where you can carry over your phone number from your existing carrier. So I did that. And with that, I had my old phone number carried over to Google. And it's not that I have a phone plan with Google, but I can use my old phone number with their applications. So with Google Hangouts, with all of their other, it's called Google Voice. And I can use that, and it appears that it is my phone number. So when someone calls me, they are calling my old phone number, but it taps into the Google applications, which is super nice. So I still have my old phone number, but it's not with a current carrier.
Yeah, Google's pretty awesome. All right, next question is Ashley from North Carolina asked, do you get homesick? How often? What is the easiest way to overcome it? Talking about the last question makes me miss my family even more. Even though we're traveling the world, we're seeing all these amazing places, meeting great people, we still miss our family a ton. The holidays were probably the hardest part because that's when we typically spend the most time with our family when we were back home. So those can be tough, but technology helps us get through that. We do the Hangouts or the Google Duo during the holidays to see the kids, see what they're doing, and see our family and our parents. But yeah, I'll just pick up the phone and talk, text, and call people whenever it hits me. If I'm feeling like, man, I need to have a phone call with my mom real quick, I'll just shoot her a call, or my dad, my brother, whatnot. So yeah, we kind of just do it as we would at home. And I guess we do have more time to think about those things because we do have lulls in the day at some point where at home we might always be busy. But did you want to touch on it, Nikki?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Matt. I think the hardest times for us would be just like the big events, missing big events. I mean, in addition to the holidays, I think it's also celebrated events, birthdays and people announcing pregnancies or retirements, things like that, things that you want to be there and help people celebrate. You just want to be present. It's great doing it over FaceTime because it is kind of like you're there, but it's just not the same thing. There are days when you just want to give your sister a hug or you just want to hug your mom and dad just to do that. But I mean, for now, we knew this is what we were signing up for. And yeah, I mean, you just shoot someone a text when you're thinking about them, or emojis for now are our go-to. Yeah. But yeah, you call them and send them a picture or just let them know that you're thinking about them.
The time differences is what really can stink at times, because if we're 12 hours ahead or 7 hours seems like a really weird adjustment, but to get on each other's schedule. But yeah, it can be really difficult. But homesick to me, it doesn't just end with our family. Of course, we miss our families, but we loved our careers. So the people that I used to work with and the line of work I was doing, so I was closing deals and sales and stuff. So just having that level of energy in a career is something that is partly my homesickness as well. So I miss being a part of that and filling that void. And then also my friends and the people that I used to hang out with, that amazing friend network in Indianapolis. But not only Indy, but I got friends all over the U.S. So we would, throughout the year, we'd spend time to go see them and venture out into different towns and city. And I try to go see my godson when I could. So I definitely miss that, and getting a bourbon and cigars with my buddies and playing poker with the guys and stuff like that. So that's all part of homesickness as well. And the networks that we were part of, being around the people that different organizations I was a part of. And we volunteered a bunch with a community on the near west side of Indianapolis with our church. I worked with 2 young people for over 8 years. So I miss Anthony and Nancy a ton in that family, but I still get a chance to talk to them, whether over the phone or through text and whatnot. So it can be, there's a lot that goes into it when you say homesick. It's not over easy. And when you say how easy it's to overcome, I don't think you ever overcome it. And we look forward to the chance to go home and celebrate and see everybody again. But it's been so much fun on the road that it's balance of 2 worlds. Because we have actually met people on the road that they didn't like where they came from. And they're basically excited to not be home. And they're traveling the world because they really are looking for something else, a big change. I think we're different where we loved home. I mean, this is a chance for us, but we also love traveling so much. We loved our careers, but we just wanted to go venture out and see new things.
Yeah, I think Matt definitely hit the nail on the head. Like, we're not running away from anything. We're running to something. So there's a big difference there. And this is just always something that we really, really were passionate about and knew it was just something in our heart of hearts that we had to do now. So yeah, that's it. It's just as simple as that. But at the same time, it's so not simple.
Okay. Again, so if you have questions, send them in, matt@passportjoy.com or on the socials, and we will answer them as soon as we can. Thanks. Okay, the shame on that we're going to describe today, shame on that again, is something that is doing that needs to be corrected in some capacity, things that we've learned along the road. So I've learned in particular, that it's not always good to tell somebody that they look like somebody that is famous, especially that's famous in the US, might not be famous elsewhere. And then in your head, you think that person looks good. But when you end up showing the person you're telling that they look like this person, they don't think they look so good. In particular, one case, we were in San Pedro de Atacama, Chile, and our hostel host, to me, looked like Fred Armisen, the famous SNL actor who's also played on many other things. And he looked exactly like him. Like, you would think that I was in an SNL skit, and this guy looked exactly like him. He wore the thick glasses. He looked exactly like the guy. And he was this gentleman that was running the hostel. He was there with his girlfriend, his girlfriend of the time. She was like a traveler from another country. And then when they could not understand who I was talking about, after I described it many times, I pulled up his photo from Google Images, and they thought he was the most hideous person ever. So they thought I was actually insulting the guy, when to me, I was giving him a compliment, because to me, I think Fred's a good looking guy. So yeah, shame on that. I should not have done that. And so I actually had stopped doing that as much. I would only tell Nikki if I thought somebody looks like somebody. But then it happened to us again. in Greece when we were at a restaurant and we were with friends at a restaurant. You want to tell us one, Nikki?
So we were at a restaurant and we were just having a couple cocktails, and our friend, and I won't call her out on it, but she was saying, oh my gosh, look at that guy over there. He looks like Jay Leno. And I was like, yeah, he totally does. She was like, I mean, look at his chin. I mean, it looks like a moon shape. I mean, just everything about him, his hair, it's kind of wild and like salt and pepper gray. And so she proceeds to walk over to the bar. And this guy, we find out, is the actual owner of this bar that we are at. And she says, hey, do you know who Jay Leno is? And this guy was like, yeah, in fact, I do. Like, I've been to America a million times and, you know, I've watched his show. And she proceeds to tell this guy that you look like Jay Leno. And he was like, oh my gosh, that guy is so ugly. So she felt super bad. And then she tried to like backtrack and say, well, you don't really look like him. I just thought like some parts of you look like him. And he was like, yeah, well, I don't want like any of my parts to look like him. So we all just got like a big, huge chuckle out of it because like once you say it, you really can't take it back. So it's kind of like shame on that. Just don't tell people because you don't know what people think, you know, certain people look like or if they find them attractive or not. So just keep it to yourself and that's pretty much it.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Again, we're talking about the contest that we're having to give away some great products from places that we use while we travel. We've not decided how we're going to package the gifts yet, but all these prizes will be given out. Today's prize comes from the awesome team at Nick's Play. You will hear us talk about this amazing frame often. It's a cloud-based frame that you can send your photos from the easy-to-use mobile apps that they have. You push them into the cloud, and the photos appear on the frame wherever you have the device, whether it's at your office or in grandma's living room. You call it wherever you want to put the frame. And it's awesome because as we travel the road, we can put our great photos of wherever we've been and they appear instantly. We can even tie it into our Instagram or Facebook, wherever, and it appears instantly on the frame of our grandma back in Indiana. So please check that out. All their awesome frames at nicksplay.com or at passportjoy.com/frame for a chance to check out their other frames. But they're giving away a frame to one of our lucky listeners. Well, we're going to be talking about other prizes we're having in future episodes, so be sure to listen to those. But we're going to enter, or we're going to draw the prizes after episode 10. So please be sure to subscribe on your podcast tool that you use, iTunes, Stitcher. We use the Overcast app. And so when you just subscribe to our podcast, you will automatically receive each of our episodes when it's published automatically to your device. So how you enter the contest is by rating and reviewing. You got to review to enter our contest. And then we'll be looking at the reviews and then deciding who wins based on those reviews. Okay, so give us a great review today. We really appreciate it. Those reviews and those ratings help us a ton. So thank you so much for doing that. And thanks for listening today. Safe travels.